Is Blanton's original worth the hunt? Let's answer that question. Hey everybody, Nate with 3 Drinks Down. I'm back to answer the question, is Blanton's original worth the hunt? Give me a minute or two, give you the background, and we'll get into that. Promise you I won't keep you very long. So first, I feel it's important to give you a little background on Blanton's so you understand what you're getting into. Most people just go Blanton's, Buffalo Trace, and they're not all wrong for that necessarily, but there are some key facts that maybe you didn't know. Maybe it will sway your opinion, maybe it won't. First, it is distilled and marketed by Sazerac, and it's produced in their Frankfort, Kentucky Buffalo Trace plant. That's all factual and correct. So the brand, when Blanton's was started in 1984, was owned by a company called Age International. That company was started the year before and actually was the driver of what is mash bill number 2 today. They were a conglomerate that just allowed Buffalo Trace to then go ahead and distill and market, as I mentioned a second ago, the product in the United States, and they own the international holdings. Shortly after, the brand rights were sold to Takara Holdings, who presently still has that brand as part of their portfolio. So as most of you know, the product comes in at 93 proof, the original that is, the one that we're most used to. There are a number of other products put out. However, there are very few of those still marketed in the United States. Now, the last piece of interesting information I found, obviously, was that I mentioned earlier, this was 1984 when Blanton started. Elmer T. Lee was at the distillery at that time, and one of his mentors was Albert B. Blanton, who was a longtime distillery advocate and had grown to a position of leadership with the distillery. And Elmer T. Lee actually credits him as one of his mentors. Side note, which is probably why Blanton's is so popular, and I could probably end the video here, is that Albert B. Blanton, the B is bacon, and that is accurate, checked, multiple sources on that. So how could it not be good? Because it's bacon. Albert B. Blanton, or we'll call him Colonel Blanton, he was made a Kentucky colonel as well, was one of the ones, as I mentioned, that was a leader in the distillery coming out of Prohibition, and actually was the one that had been heavily involved in having Warehouse H built. Now, Warehouse H, why is that important? It's the only metal-clad building on the property that they actually age whiskey in. Bourbon in this case, of course, let's be clear. And that is actually where all the barrels come from to this day, is from that particular warehouse. So that's also super interesting and tying things together as to how all the bourbon world stars align, and we get this product that comes in this funky, kind of roundish, kind of pineapple-ish looking bottle that has a horse on top of the letter we all clamor over, right? All right, so on to the liquid itself. Of course, I'm gonna give it a good swirl. If you look at a lot of the tasting notes and a lot of things you'll experience from this single barrel product, remember there is some variance, but generally a lot of the notes you're gonna be honey, vanilla, citrus, little charred oak, and then maybe some of those rye spices, because being mash bill 2, it is a little higher rye, it's 10 to 12% believed, than mash bill 1, which is lower rye. One thing you do get sometimes when you open one of these is you can either get a bubble gum sometimes or a little green apple. I'm actually getting a little bubble gum off this one that we have. But again, it's not a dominating nose, nothing dominating or anything like nature, but you can get other expressions. Remember, there's different levels in the Rick House. They're all proof down to 93 proof, so it kind of washes out a little bit, but you still might find some differences. Let's taste this thing. Caramel, brown sugar, vanilla, a little bit of char, a little bit of rye spice dancing back there. Not a ton. Again, it's not a huge high rye mash bill. These are all common flavors you get when you have Blanton's. Very nice. For my personal taste, it's a little thin and the finish is medium. So it's a nice finish. It's not anything that's gonna last for days or forever. And maybe if it's your first drink of the day, you get a little tiny Kentucky hug out of it. So very nice and approachable from that perspective. On the second sip. Second sip kind of brings out one of the things I was thinking, but I shouldn't say, and there's a little peppercorn in there, peppery, black pepper for some people, that kind of finishes at the back of the palate. Very nice. Again, very, very common things you're getting in Blanton's. So if you're looking for kind of a partial review here, that's that. Now, let's answer that question for you that we actually brought up at the top of the video. Is this worth the hunt? It's a $65 MSRP if you buy it at MSRP, but that's hardly anywhere you're gonna find that, short of having a good relationship with store owners, or just very much lucking into it, or if you're in a control state where it's in a state lottery. So if I'm weighing it out for someone else and they're saying, I generally love other mash bill number 2 products from Buffalo Trace, that might be a reason why I might tell them, yeah, put in a little extra effort. Or, you know, if you're in one of those groups that allows you to trade your hunting skills, those bucks that you catch, you know, for bottles of these, which is higher than those MSRP, because I think, you know, the bucks have some sort of value of some sort. I don't know. It's a wild trading thing, apparently. then, you know, maybe think about your discretionary income and say, yeah, I could go up to 100 of those bucks, so to speak, you know, because that's about what you're going to have to go up to in most cases to get it. And if you really do enjoy those Mash Bill 2 products, probably worth it for you to do at least once and determine if it's something you'd want to do over and over again. I don't think it's worth the hunt, but that's just me and my bourbon journey. So for you and your bourbon journey, you have to make that decision based off what I've laid out here today and where your heart is on that particular day. That said, I'd love to know if you guys really enjoy this kind of content versus giving a peer review. You know, please leave a comment below and let me know what you think about content like this, where I give kind of an opinionated, but give you some facts and some history, so you can make an educated decision on your own, whether something's continued worth the hunt or is, you know, worth the hype or whatever that ends up being the titles of these videos. I'd love to hear back from you on that. Also, if you could, before you leave today, please be sure to make sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell on. And then I'm going to throw a couple other links to some other videos up here if you would like to watch more. Cheers.